Shayna was on the 6th floor of Hadassah Hospital with the baby in the maternity ward, and we were about to go into Shabbat together. And fortunately, I had the foresight to throw some Shabbat clothing and a talit in the bag, so I was ready for Shabbat. And I went down to what felt like the first floor, but I think it may have actually been underground of the hospital. A beautiful synagogue in Hadassah Hospital. If you're in Jerusalem, it's really worth seeing. It's called the Chagall Synagogue because there's windows painted or designed by Chagall. And this synagogue was filled with the most beautiful mix of Jews from literally every single walk of life in the Holy Land, from the ultra-Orthodox wearing their sort of regal fur streimels to the secular, to the religious Zionists. There were soldiers there with us, some of who it appeared had been wounded in battle, but they were able to summon the strength to make it to the special Kabbalat Shabbat, the Sabbath greeting services. And as we all sang together and prayed together, you could feel this genuine love in the room that we all had for each other. And during this beautiful transcendent moment, I heard what felt like boom, like it was like a deep boom, like I felt it more than I heard it. And there were a few other people that seemed to hear it also, but we all sort of looked around, and most people either didn't hear it or feel it or simply ignored it. I was doubting. Maybe it's a lot of us in Israel, Tabitha, I don't know if you often hear phantom booms, right? Where you hear the boom and it's not a boom and then it is. And, you know, we all sort of have some level of PTSD around this whole thing. But after services, I ran upstairs to see Shayna, and all of the new mothers were holding their babies tight in the hallways, outside of the rooms, out of their beds where they shouldn't have needed to be because they just gave birth and they should be lying in their bed recovering. And they were all holding their babies tight. And I looked at Shayna, and she looked at me and she said, did you just come out also? Like, did I come out? I asked her what she meant. And she said that in all of the floors above us, there was red alert sirens, and there were missiles fired into Jerusalem heading towards the area of Hadassah Hospital. And all the babies, all the mothers, many recovering and struggling to walk, they were grabbing their babies and rushed into bomb shelters. And at that moment, I looked at Shayna holding my beautiful, innocent, newborn baby, and my heart ached. You know, I thought to myself, I sort of broadcasted the energy to my little boy, like, welcome to the world, little boy. This is where we are right now. This is where we're at right now as a world, right? Less than 24 hours in the world, and he's already finds himself in a bomb shelter, contending firsthand with evil in its purest form. I mean, that's the contrast that gets my fury. It's the absolute purity and innocence that is subject to this great evil. I just want to wipe it out. Anyways, you know, I'm looking at my little boy, and I was just visualizing his pure, beautiful soul descending from this realm of spiritual bliss and serenity and peace and love, and being thrust into our violent and volatile tempest storm of a world, this realm of chaos and pain and confusion. But at that moment, as I was visualizing his journey, I was seeing the chaos and the violence of this world spinning, right? Just violent confusion, but it was all just in the palm of Hashem's hands. Meaning it was just within this little spinning sphere of the world. It's crazy, but it's within the palm of Hashem's loving hand. And I saw it clearly at that moment that all that we are experiencing here, while it's very real on one level, on the deepest level, it's an illusion. It's all happening at the direct orchestration of Hashem, and therefore all of the pain and the death, as impossible as it is for us to understand, is happening for us, to give us the opportunity to be the light, to illuminate the world with Hashem's light through our faith in Him. But you know what I'm going to say here, even more than our faith in Him, our trust in Him. And it was then that I had the thought, which I had before, that this baby born on the 8th night of Hanukkah, born at the coldest, darkest time of the year, birthed into the world in the midst of one of the greatest times of trouble for Jacob in Jewish history. It was clear to me that he must be a special child with a great mission of shining a light of godliness to the world. May Hashem protect him and allow him to do that. And the truth is that we all have this mission. We are all here because we've been chosen by God to be here at this time. He trusts in us to be able to be here and to do what we each need to do during these times. Anyone alive during these times has a great historic opportunity of potential to shine a light. But I couldn't help but to look at my baby and hope and believe that he was arriving now for just such a time as this. I know that I'm like another Jewish father that thinks his son is Messiah. But I think every good Jewish father has some thought that his son must be Messiah. But now I have two, so I don't even know what to do there with that. But anyways, it felt like this is an important time and an important thing that's happening. And I have no proof for believing this, and I may be wrong, but I do believe that both Israel and the world are experiencing the final painful, violent contractions of Mashiach. And the closer we get, the more painful and violent the contractions are becoming. I don't even want to talk about the horrific story that just happened, with the three Chatufim, the three kidnapped Jews that were able to make it out and get shot. It's just so tragic. It's so, how do I can't make sense of it. It's like anticlimactic and tragic and painful. And how do we make sense of all of this? But these are the final contractions of Mashiach coming into the world. And the closer we get, the more painful the contractions. And we see this play out in the story of Joseph's brothers. They find themselves in Canaan, and the global famine is ravaging them as well, leaving them without food as these brutal desert winds are destroying whatever may be left of their crops. We see them make their way to Egypt to get food, and they're optimistic and hopeful that they will. And then they're accused of being spies and tasked with going back to Canaan to bring their brother Benjamin back to this terrifying, heartless Egyptian taskmaster, the greatest source of all their pain and their anguish. They need to bring their brother Benjamin to him to prove the veracity of their story. And throughout the entire story, we see from the outside that it's Joseph, their brother, that is engineering all of this out of his love for them. And that the moment will come that we'll read about in the next portion, perhaps one of the greatest moments in human history, in which Yosef announces to his brothers, I am Yosef. Is my father still alive? That is the great moment that we are all on the cusp of experiencing. And we need to strengthen our belief and our faith together, strengthen each other, because when that moment comes, much of the world, it will be such a light that it will burn so much of the world. But for those of us who are trusting in Hashem, that have faith in him, that light will warm us and soothe us and heal us. And I want to bless us all that we're able to experience that readily, soon, any moment now. May that great redemption and salvation come to the Jewish people and really to the entire world.